Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the 2023 Central Counties Tourism Annual General Meeting. I hope that everybody's doing well this morning and that it's not as dull where you are as it is where I am. I'm looking forward to a bit more sunny weather coming our way. So to get on with things, we've got a busy little agenda here. Adriana, could I call upon you to do the land acknowledgement that we've prepared?
Absolutely. I'd be honored. Just one moment, please. Okay, wonderful. So good morning. My name is Adriana Barbary, and I'm facilitating today's meeting from downtown Toronto. I've come to learn that Toronto itself is a word that originates from the Mohawk word Takoranto, meaning the place in the water where the trees are standing, which is said to refer to the golden stakes that were used as fishing weirs in the narrows of local river systems by the Haudenosaunee and the Huron-Wendat peoples. Toronto is on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Anishinaabe, specifically the Chippewa and Mississauga peoples, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. Next slide. So speaking on behalf of the board and staff, we acknowledge and honor that the tourism region, known as Central Counties, operates within the ancestral territory and treaty lands of the Hiawatha First Nation, Curve Lake First Nation, Alderville First Nation, Mississaugas of Scugog First Nation, Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, Mississauga First Nation, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa of Georgina, the Haudenosaunee, and the Huron-Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also fully embrace and respect that this region is governed by the Dish with One Spoon Treaty. This treaty requires and invites any subsequent newcomers to share the territory and protect the land in the spirit of peace, friendship, and respect. Central Counties tourism and the Indigenous tourism industry honor and respect this treaty and are thankful that the original tour guides of these lands welcomed and continue to welcome all of us to their territory. We believe working together in a mutually beneficial manner will help Ontarians prosper through development of the tourism industry. Central Counties Tourism and Indigenous Tourism Ontario are pleased to be working side by side together under a memorandum of understanding to help advance the Indigenous tourism industry in our region. Next slide. So quickly, before handing the mic back over to Chair Winston, I'd like to take this opportunity to mention that this month is a special time to celebrate and recognize Two-Spirit Indigenous community. Not only is June Pride Month in Ontario, but June is also National Indigenous History Month, and National Indigenous Peoples Day takes place on June 21st. For generations, many Indigenous peoples and communities have celebrated their culture and heritage on or near this day due to the significance of the summer solstice as the longest day of the year. The summer solstice holds deep cultural and spiritual significance for many Indigenous peoples. It symbolizes a new season of life, a chance to start fresh and leave past burdens behind. This is a day for all Canadians to recognize and celebrate the unique heritage, diverse cultures, and outstanding contributions of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. There have already been a variety of events across our entire region, and still more to come this month and into the summer. I encourage you to get out there and learn more about your local 2S LGBTQIA+ community and local Indigenous history. That concludes the land acknowledgement. Thank you. Back over to you, Mr. Winston.
Thank you, Adriana.
We're going to go back to your opening remarks there, Mike.
Yeah, I guess we have got to point out to our stakeholders that are attending, and we're really happy that you are with us, that during this first part, only the board of directors as such are able to vote on the issues. Well, they're not issues, they're just motions relative to the previous board meeting, sorry, AGM, and approval of the agenda, etc. So having said that, I'd like to call the meeting officially to order now and ask for approval of the agenda as presented.
Well, you're doing
I
the
second.
motion.
Okay, yes, you're right.
And Angela's seconding. And all
Thank
right,
you.
board, here's your first chance to use your hands up button. All in favor? Or you can put your hands up. I see you too. That's awesome. Thank you. That's carried. Mike.
Okay, thank you.
All
And
right.
the minutes of the June 15th, 2022 annual general meeting, can I
Get a seconder.
have a seconder for that?
All right. Who do we got here? Anna's got her hand up.
Oh, Bill.
And Bill. Oh, sorry, Bill. Where are you? Yep, that's good. All right. All in favor? Excellent. That's carried.
Thank you. All right, so I'd like now to move on to the financial presentation and welcome Sam from MNP, who is going to do a quick review of the financials with us.
Yeah, let me just find it again. There we go. I'm going to share this screen. Hopefully that is, are you guys seeing the slide 4 there, Sam?
Yeah, I see it. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Chuck. So to start, my name is Sam. So I work with MNP. We're the auditors for Zone 6 Regional Tourism Organization, Central County Tourism. And so just before I begin with the financials, I just want to let you know that we are independent of the organization. And so we run through our test of the financial figures. We don't run through a test of the internal controls, although we do come into contact with those internal controls. And so based on the results of our audit, we did not find any significant deficiencies in the internal controls of the organization. And while our audit cannot be relied upon to detect all instances of fraud, we came into contact with no instances or suspected instances of fraud. And that pretty much covers everything from that point. So we'll move on to the financial statements. So what you see here is the statement of financial position, better known as the balance sheet. So this presents all of the assets, liabilities, and net assets of the organization. So you'll see cash has gone up a little bit. There's some short-term investments, some receivables, and then liabilities are mostly related to accounts payables. So the net assets for the year hold stable at March 31st at around 300,000. And if you want to move on to the next page.
Yeah.
We have the statement of operations, better known as the income statement here. So you'll see the revenues, expenses, and this year there was a small deficiency of revenue over expenses. And so the major changes this year were related to the Federal Economic Development Agency for Southern Ontario line. You'll see 8.65 million there, and that was just new funding related to the Tourism Relief Fund program, for which you'll see an equal offsetting expense, the Tourism Relief Fund program for 8.65 million there.
Next one.
Yes, yeah, next one.
Right. Oh,
So
that's
yeah, this is just a short explanation of the changes in net assets over the year. So you'll see the net assets at the beginning, there's a deficiency, and then your net assets change slightly towards the end of the year.
okay.
And those are the three major statements in terms of understanding the financial position of the organization.
All right.
Perfect.
And nothing significant to talk about in the notes. Obviously, the Tourism Relief Fund was an anomaly for us, and we, but it was an interesting process, and we want to thank you, Samuel, because we spent a lot of time working with you to make sure that we were accounting for everything correctly, making sure there was no double dipping and all those good things. All right. Board members, any questions? Okay, seeing none, give me 1 second. I'm going to pass it over to Jim. Jim is our Oops, I got to do that one, I think. This one. Yeah. Okay. Are you seeing the presentation again? Hopefully.
Yep.
Okay. Jim, if you would like to make the next couple of motions for us.
Okay, I'm going to make the motion that we approve the, but before I do that, I just wanted to point out to, well, the board knows, but the stakeholders on the call. As you can see, we moved from managing a $2 million program previous years to 10 million this year with the addition of the Tourism Relief Fund. That was no small feat, and you see we came out of this with a really good audit, and this is due in main part to Katie Ryland, our Director of Operations, who oversaw this whole process. And one thinks you approve a grant and then you pay out the grant. It's not that simple. Each one of these applications, even our partnership funds, are touched 4 or 5, 6 times through the process. And it was handled very, very well and very professionally. So I personally would like to thank Katie Ryland, and I would like to thank her also on behalf of the board. So thank you very much, Katie. That, I'd like to move the approval of the auditors or the financial report for past fiscal year.
And I will second that, both the motion and the thanks to Katie. I was going to say the same thing, so you beat me to it, Jim. That's okay.
Perfect. All right. And all in favor, looking at the board here. Perfect. And that is carried. And then Jim, one more for you. Let me see if I can
I'd like
find-
to make a motion that we reappoint the MNP LLP as our auditors for our coming fiscal year.
Perfect, and that's seconded by, who do we got here?
Tony.
Tony. Tony, you good to second that? Yep, he put his hand up. Perfect. And all in favor? Excellent. Thank you. Carried. All right. Back to you, Mike.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate all the work that everybody did to make our year financially successful with all that work. It wasn't just Katie and Chuck. Chuck had to be the hound dog to follow up on some of the stuff as well. And I know that the industry relations guys, girls, I should say, were active in that as well. So thank you to them. From a governance point of view, we put out a requirement for a new director for York Region, and the governance committee received 4 or 5 applications for the position, and having reviewed the applications, we made a decision on an appropriate person to fill the position. The position for each director is potentially from anywhere from 2 to 3 years, and we finalized that at the board meeting following this. But the candidate that was selected was Jerry Smith, and Jerry is partnership and development guest services person at Black Creek Pioneer Village and part of the Toronto and Region Conservation Authorities. So we'd like to welcome aboard Jerry Smith. I hope she's with us here. And in front of you on the screen, you've got the updated slate of directors for approval at this minute. So I'd like to make the motion that Jerry Smith becomes the new director for York Region, and we get approval of the new slate of directors as of June the 14th, 2023. Can I have a seconder, please?
I second
Yeah.
that.
Thank you, Nancy. Great. And all in favor? Perfect. All right, that is carried.
All righty.
See
So
how this is painless, Mike.
yeah, absolutely. All right. So that actually concludes the formal business part of the annual general meeting. However, don't hang up, because we are going to carry on with a recap of the year that's just finished from Chuck, and one other thing as well. But I would like to make the motion to adjourn the official AGM meeting as of right now.
Yep, you motioned it,
I did.
and Nancy did too, so we're good to go. Congratulations, board. Thank you very, very much for everything. Everything that you have done. Sorry, I just got caught up in the chat there. Okay, so our next little bit of business, assuming that I can advance the slide, is one of our board of directors has done her term. And it's my sincere honor to recognize the efforts of Angela Poletto, who has just completed her second term on our board of directors, which is the maximum you're allowed to do. She's been part of the tourism fabric in our region for over a decade and has been an integral part of our guiding team here at Central Counties for the last 6 years. She understands the importance of collaboration and embraces it daily, sitting on numerous industry boards and committees and working tirelessly to create new multi-stakeholder experiences that include the McMichael Art Collection. She has been a great partner for CCT2, always willing to provide space for our staff meetings and the first to upload her events, which is fantastic. From my perspective, she is a passionate champion of the tourism, for tourism, her organization, her city, and her region. The incredible images that come up on her social feeds, we're friends on Facebook, I'm lucky enough, leads me to think that she should probably say no to a bit more things, because I often get tired just thinking about all the meetings and events that she attends each and every week. I reached out to Sarah Sterling and Sandra Quateria from our team to give me a better staff perspective of the impact Angela's had on the organization, CCT, and us personally. Sarah said, Angela was the first stakeholder I visited in this job and was super warm and inviting, giving me a tour of McMichael and treating me to lunch. It made me even more excited about my new job, and I would say you can feel her passion for the gallery, for her community, and for tourism every time you speak to her. And then Sandra added, Angela is one of those people that comes into your life and you are all the better for it. I personally consider her a friend that extends beyond CCT. Angela, while we don't have your wit and wisdom around the board table anymore, it is my full expectation that you'll sit on at least one committee. And I know that Central Counties and the tourism stakeholders will continue to benefit from your passion for the industry. From the board and the staff, thank you for all that you do. And because this is being done virtually, I think that a lunch is in order soon. So thank you very, very much. Did you want to say a couple of things, Angela, or have I overwhelmed you in your crying?
Yeah, I'm actually crying. So, but I did want to thank this board. This whole board and the staff have been the best experience. It's an honor to have sat on this board with like-minded, passionate people. And I can honestly say I do sit on a couple of boards and a lot of committees, but it's bittersweet. I was quite melancholic yesterday to thinking that this was going to be my last sort of hurrah. So thank you so much, Chuck, for your leadership, and thank you to everybody. And I will definitely be honored to sit on a committee. You're not getting rid of me that quickly, CCT, and you know that I will always sing your praises and thank you. And you have an amazing board coming up. Jerry is, Jerry, welcome aboard. I think I saw her on here, and she is an amazing, passionate colleague who I've had the pleasure to work with at Black Creek. So you are definitely in good hands, and thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you, Angela. And I'm serious about that lunch.
Thank you. Thank you, Angela.
Perfect. All right. So next up is me. You're stuck with me for the next little bit. So for those who don't know, my name is Chuck. And for the next 10 or 15 minutes or so, I'm going to talk a little bit about where we've been and where we're headed. Assuming I can slide. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I think the first thing we need to reiterate is the role of Central County's tourism, and that is one of support. We're not responsible for the success of your business or your project. That's all on you. We are responsible for providing you a rich library of tools, which, if you take the time to utilize, can help you with your success. Now, trust me, we get that it's tough to do. If you're a small business, where do you find the time to learn about and implement new programs to grow? Festival and event organizers are often volunteers who spend their limited time laser focused on pulling everything together and not on the opportunities to better understand their visitors. And municipal and regional staff have tourism as a small portion of their already overflowing plates, making it difficult to execute their deliverables, let alone having the time to advocate for additional investment in the visitor economy to support vibrant communities. And after last fiscal, we have proof that spending on tourism is in fact an investment, not an expense. The Tourism Relief Fund was an incredible opportunity for our stakeholders, and we are thrilled that we were trusted with managing close to $8 million in contracts. It was a lot of work, and I think that Katie did an incredible job of keeping it as simple as possible for our stakeholders while managing the relationship between us and FedDev Ontario. When I wrote the final report for the feds, the first section was to list, I was asked to list the highlights. I only listed one, and that was the amount of taxes that were collected both through the project completion spending and the revenues generated through visitation by people visiting or traveling more than 40 kilometers one way. I made sure that they understood that the extra $6 million they received in addition to a full repayment of the $8 million is what is paying for infrastructure and healthcare and education. And that doesn't even take into consideration the yearly income tax that will be paid by more than 150 new permanent full-time employees that were hired because of the projects. It was an incredible amount of additional work that we completed utilizing our core complement of staff, but it was all worth it to help so many of our stakeholders complete projects that may not have otherwise, they would have not been able to do. So just to lay it out, the total amount that was provided by FedDev Ontario was $8.65 million, of which $800,000 was for administration and outreach. That meant the total earmarked for the grant was $7.85 million. Just gonna let someone in here, there we go. We went over that by just over $100,000, providing close to $8 million in grant. That left around $700,000 in additional funding for the year, which went right back into programs to support our stakeholders. We added over $300,000 to our own partnership program, increasing the allocation from $379,000 to over $680,000. We spent over $100,000 to increase content for and coverage of our stakeholders through marketing and communications. We invested $150,000 for the development of a new augmented reality technology that will make content enhancement accessible for more of you or more of our stakeholders going forward. And all of these things led to a banner year when it came to results. And I just want to point out that at the moment, we are back to base budget for the current fiscal. And while staff is going to stretch every dollar for maximum impact, it's not going to be the same as last year and the last couple of years where we've had some additional funding. It's not to say we're not going to chase it. I just want to get people's, get your head in the right spot. What did I do here? Yep, that's right. Okay, so business development.
Chuck, before you go on, could I just acknowledge Sandra's effort, Sandra Quintero, with the analysis of all the inputting applications.
Yes.
We've kind of glossed right over that work that she did.
That is true. Sandra was the one who got the whole application process in place and worked tirelessly back and forth and answered all of my stupid questions every day, which was nice. Fair enough. So on business development, it doesn't always have to be about money, and that's especially true in our industry. So many people are just itching to get out and about to see and experience new things. And the more things they can find in the same general area that interests them, the more likely they're going to be willing to get off the couch and go. For us, business development is providing you opportunities to meet your peers, have conversations, and start thinking about ways you can potentially work together to create more success for yourselves. Once you think you may have something on, something brewing, we are here to help facilitate discussions that can lead to the development of new trails and routes that will have a bigger draw than your business has on its own. Last fiscal saw the launch and fine-tuning of several stakeholder-led routes. Where are we here? And I know in my heart that each are going to be successful because the businesses involved want them to be successful. To me, this type of stakeholder-led collaboration is the epitome of destination development. The best part about it is that through conversation and programming, like our tourism symposiums, more and more municipalities have started to understand the impact of the visitor economy and what it does to their communities. CCT worked with several municipalities last fiscal to complete or refresh community tourism plans, and we currently have 3 more in the works. This type of coordinated effort can go a long way to supporting the efforts of stakeholders who are banding together to build something bigger than the sum of its parts. We got marketing support. So why do we call it marketing support? Well, mainly we don't do anything. We don't do anything. Wrong word. We don't own anything. We don't own anything. It's not us. It's not our stuff. It's your stuff. When it comes to consumer marketing, our job is to make our stakeholders shine, convincing more visitors to spend their time and money in our region. If you are not already tagging the YDH, which is York Durham Headwaters socials, I hope the numbers you're currently seeing changes your mind about the value in doing so. Being engaged with CCT and ensuring that your regional industry relations managers know what you are currently doing and what is on the horizon helps us pitch ideas to writers and reporters. We are always looking to push your stories out, and it is certainly working with close to $10 million in earned media last year. We also fulfill our campaign content by telling your stories, which we pull from what our industry relations managers know about what you do. The numbers you see on this slide are big. Now, that's thanks in good part to the additional resources that we were able to put into marketing and communications. Our efforts were recognized this year at the Tayo Tourism Summit in the fall, where CCT took home 4 prestigious resiliency awards, 2 in the sustainability category and 2 in the collaboration category. It was very fitting, as we know that it takes good collaborations to sustain the success of a tourism product or experience. A very important way we help you achieve success for yourself is by providing interesting, relevant learning opportunities that are blocked out in chunks, because we recognize that your time is valuable and you might not even have an hour to spare at a time. It might need to be in shorter chunks. The most popular program on the Learning Lab is the Tourism Ambassador Program. So more than 400 people spent time last year brushing up on best practices to ensure that you are representing your business and community in the best possible light. We also launched several other very important and helpful courses that can help with business success. Each are interactive, modularized, and designed with businesses in mind. They are relevant and instantly implementable to assist with your success. Last fiscal, we made some important investments to support our most valuable customers, you, our stakeholders. We fully embrace that we are an industry support organization through and through. Even all of the incredible content that is being developed for visitor audiences across the province and beyond is done with you in mind. To that end, we created a new B2B communications manager position that was filled by the talented Sandra Quateria. Keeping you in the know is of the utmost importance, and the only way to do that is to A, make the information you receive relevant and compelling, and B, ensure it is easy to find. And that's why we created the dashboard. This personalized B2B backend system provides customized information based on what you are searching for on our Central Counties site. It tracks your Learning Lab course programs and puts opportunities and relevant information front and center, so you can find it easily. If you haven't already done so, please get yourself registered for free, of course, and make checking on updates part of your weekly and monthly routine. There's always lots going on, and we don't want you to miss anything. So for those that don't know already, Tom on our team is a research guru. He has completely converted me to research-based decision-making and has proven time and again that having the right data, and more importantly, knowing how to analyze and interpret it, is priceless. Even when I throw him a curveball, like asking him to prove to me that proper wayfinding science could have an impact on a community, he was able to deliver. I was going to just quickly jump off the script here for a second and talk about this case study because I thought it was brilliant how he did it. In a community with a major cottage country route through it, we wanted to know how much potential lost revenue was driving through and not turning on to go into town for dinner or supplies or even just for gas and something at the convenience store. Tom geofenced the two major intersections at either end of town to get a sense of the through traffic, and then geofenced the section of the main street that was right off the main through road. So once he got all those figures, he was able to determine what % of travelers were currently actually turning to go into town. And based on the volume of people that were just driving through town, he was able to determine that for every 1% of people that they could convince to turn, it would represent about $1 million worth of economic impact in that community. They're huge numbers, like massive numbers. And it made it a heck of a lot easier for council, knowing what the potential was, to make some decisions to approve a budget for the signs. Research is so important, and our stakeholders are starting to swallow the Kool-Aid like I have. Tom completed more than 240 research reports last fiscal. A lot of them when the 2022 data became available in February. It still amazes me that technology has come so far that we can almost get immediate information about consumer behavior and trends. He also secured a new vendor that tracked overnight domestic visits, and that is how we know that in 2022, people who stayed at least one night in the region, who traveled more than 60 kilometers one way to get here, were responsible for more than $3 billion, yes, with a B, $billion in economic impact. If you aren't already talking with your industry relations manager about research opportunities, please start. It isn't very expensive, and it can help your limited marketing dollars be much more effective. All right, so what's new? So 2023, 2024 is going to be a bit of a lean year compared to the last few fiscals. However, we've been able to lay down some great foundational work to deliver exceptional programs for our stakeholders. And as last year proved, it doesn't matter how much funding we have to distribute, it's never going to be enough. The majority of our funding comes from the province of Ontario, and I asked the ministry what their priorities were for this fiscal. What results did they want to see? The answer was tourism receipts and jobs. And we couldn't agree more. And that's why our focus is on helping our stakeholders build their capacity so they can grow, make more money, and hire more people. If we want the government to further support tourism, we have to prove and shout from the rooftops that every dollar they invest results in at least $2 in taxes through retail and income. We need to tell them, we need to make them understand that spending to grow the visitor economy isn't fluff or a nice to have. It is honestly paying for healthcare and education and roads, all while creating vibrant communities. For opportunities like our partnership program, it means we have to make some tough decisions this year. We only have $379,000 in partnership funds. I remember when we first launched this program 6 or 7 years ago, we had money left over. Well, fast forward to today, and in our first 2 intakes, project submissions tripled the allocation. All of the submissions are good, but the money just isn't there. So new this year is that everyone wanting to pitch their partner project must first chat with the industry relations manager. They will help guide you through the process and give you a sense of what we're focused on to show results the province is looking for. I don't want to discourage anyone from applying because at worst, you will know, first we'll know about your project and make suggestions on other ways we can support it that aren't financial. But if you're applying, please go into it knowing that things are really tight. And in order to provide a little bit of support to more stakeholders, we are often not able to provide the full amount of partnership funding. So this has been a big topic of discussion, so much so that it will be the topic of this month's B2B, my executive director B2B intro. So if you're interested in getting a little bit more insight, so give it a quick read when it comes out. And Sandra, that'll be later this week or early next week, I believe. And she is nodding her head yes. Awesome.
Next week.
Next week, perfect. All right, so speaking of B2B, we are doing a website revamp to make the main site and the dashboard even more effective. I do highly recommend that you make checking in on either one of those two things, the dashboard or the main site, a monthly work task, just so you don't miss anything. In terms of our learning lab, we are converting the very popular Tourism Now program into a workshop series and are also drafting level 2 of the grant writing module. I think level 1 is currently available. We are also in the works to develop and launch a couple of micro-learning labs that will include how to write a media release. These are all things that, you might think, oh, I know how to do that. It's never hurts to do a touch-up. I started actually watching the level 1 grant, doing the level 1 grant writing, and it's pretty awesome. I was really, really impressed with it. And you come out of it with basically your box points ready to go. So any grant that comes up, you can just cut and paste, and drop it right into the grant. Where are we here? The plan is to have the pilot project for the augmented reality software complete in late 2023. The project will demonstrate the software technology that all of our stakeholders will have access to once it has been tested and proven. Presently, we're in the process of picking 1 or 2 locations per region to showcase the technology so that no one is going to have to travel too far to see it. We are keeping close tabs on all of the content development costs so that we'll be able to provide some solid estimates as to what it will cost for stakeholders to include augmented reality as part of their content delivery. And finally, I'm working on developing a toolkit for stakeholders who want to create their own stories or trails like the back roads of Brock, side roads of Scugog, and a country path. I'm actually really enjoying drafting the document and laying out the steps that will help you collectively find success with implementation. My hope is to have it ready by the end of summer, so check the newsletter and your dashboard because that's where you're going to be able to find it for download. And that's it for me. I do want to take a second to once again thank this incredible staff that keep us going day after day. If you're on this call, you're already engaged, so we want to thank you guys for being part of our organization, for keeping us in the loop as to what's going on, and helping us help you have success. And of course, the board of directors is an incredible group of people, very dedicated, very involved, and what I really love about them, they keep pushing us to deliver more and more and more, which is something that our team loves to do. So with that in mind, I'm going to finish that off. I'm going to open it up to questions for everyone on the call. I would suggest that you write your questions in the chat box if you have it, because I don't think I've got everyone's, I can't see everyone. So if you have a question and want to put it in the chat, that would be awesome. And staff, if I missed anything, you can write that in the chat too, because that happens quite often. And hearing none.
I just wanted to say to the stakeholders, I really want to stress again the engagement. We at the McMichael have really seen an uptake in posting and sharing our things with CCT. Tom's incredible assistance in with all the research has also helped us. So I can definitely, Tom, you're not getting rid of me that easily. I'll be in touch for getting definitely more information from you, and just keep posting also on your social media. One of my favorite things is that CCT posted about, it was just before COVID, a yoga, I can't remember the barn now that it's called, up in I can't even remember that now. Mount Albert, thank you, Brock's Farm. And they do yoga. And I saw the post. I thought it's half an hour for me. I'm going to go and do it anyway. And it's been life-changing. It's been an amazing experience. The yoga teacher and the people there have become really close friends. So you know, sometimes just posting something very that you think, oh, you know, I'll post a funny picture. It does speak volumes and it does reach. And sometimes just reaching that one person expands your network. So definitely post and engage, and it really is worth your time.
Thanks,
Perfect.
Angela. Chuck,
right.
there was one other thing I just wanted to make sure people understood about the augmented reality, is that we actually will be owning the software that will do that.
That is correct. So it is our, and that's why it should be a heck of a lot less expensive. It is an automated process. And so we said to the developers, here are the inputs, and this is what we want to be the output. So really the cost will be, to host the data, and any cost it takes to create the actual content. So you have to hire someone to write the story, that's going to have a cost. If you have someone to record the story, that might have a cost. But if you already have the stories and you have the ability to do the recording yourselves, there'll be very, very limited cost to do it. And all of a sudden you're going to be able to have your stories brought to life in the moment while people are there. It's going to be really, really cool. And the team that we've got, Sarah Sterling, no, sorry, is it Sarah Grata? Sorry, Sarah Grata and Susan are the leads on this program, and they've been working back and forth with the company we hired, and we're getting close. So that's excellent.
All right. I think that brings us to a conclusion as regards the annual general meeting. Unless anybody's sent any more notes in the chat of questions, and I'm not seeing any. Are you, Chuck?
I've got one. Jennifer, do you want to explain that a bit more? You can go off mute.
First of all, I'd really like to be part of the testing for the augmented reality.
Perfect.
When part of the Ontario request was to increase staffing, visitors and staffing, it is almost impossible to hire right now, at least in our area. I'd wonder how other parts of Central County's areas having the same difficulty.
They are. That is part of our struggle. And we do. Sorry, we're talking about the forward-facing stuff, Jennifer, and we want to, on the back ends, I'm working with Tayo and our partners to try to get more and more people to want to understand that this industry can be a career, right? I would suspect that a lot of us all fell into it by accident over the years and have now and love it. To be honest, we just had a staff meeting on at Glowzone, the business that I own, and I talked to a bunch of 16 and 17-year-olds just about that. I said, never thought that this would be a career, but look at it as a career. There's tons of positions. And quite a few of our staff, I think 4 of us, plus Eleanor, we all teach at Durham College, part of the tourism and hospitality course, to try to encourage more people to do it. So there's work going on the back end. And I understand your point. It's great to get you busier and busier and busier, but if you can't find someone to help you, you're just going to get more and more tired. So we are working on that on the back end for sure. So, all right.
All right.
If that's it.
Yeah, I'd like to try and give a big round of applause, if we can, in this environment,
Yes.
to you, Chuck, and all the staff. Thank you for all the work you do on behalf of the board and all of our stakeholders in Central County. So from everybody.
No words.
All right. So what I would like to ask is the guests that are on,
the non-board members,
the non-board members, non-directors, If you would kindly log out, staff and directors. Angela, farewell. We'll see you again.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Sam, if you're still there. I don't know whether you logged off already.
Yeah, he might have.
Okay. Thank you. All righty.
We'll just give it a minute or so while we get everyone to do that.
Okay.
All right. What are we down to here?
There's Carol. I hadn't. You don't always see everybody that's on the board on the screen, do you?
No. Okay, I've got Mercedes here. I'm just gonna put in the waiting room. There we go. Okay, looks like we are.
I'll just note that Susan Powell has signed in as the phone number below.
Oh, okay, thank
She's
you.
on the road at the moment. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. So it looks like Monique, I'm gonna ask you to sign out. We're all done there. There we go.
And there's Jerry. I can see you now.
Chuck, do you want staff to stay on or can we jump off?
Oh, it's up to you. It's gonna be a fairly short meeting. If you guys have stuff to do, you feel free.
Okay.
Could we
Bye,
just
everyone.
take a break?
You want a quick bio break here?
Coffee break.
Probably not
Yeah.
a bad idea.
You can do that. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stop the recording of now, and then we'll restart it when the board meeting starts.
Okay, it's 9:50 now. How long